What's going on, guys? It's Suk and I'm back once again with a brand new video on Super Duper Tech. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you the results that I got when benchmarking the 2018 Mac Mini. If you are interested in seeing how this Mac performs when you throw a few games at it, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when that video goes live. But without any further ado, let's hit the titles. The first benchmarking application which I ran was Geekbench 4. Now Geekbench gives a score for both single and multi-threaded tasks, and after these tasks have been performed, it will then give a score based on its performance and the time taken to perform them. And with that being said, I got a single core score of 4,760 and a multi-core score of 14,315. I also ran the Geekbench compute test to see how well the OpenGR engine ran through Geekbench, and with this I got a score of 29,605. And once again, using Geekbench 4, I ran the compute test, but this time testing out how well the Metal engine ran through Geekbench, and with this I got a score of 21,784. The next benchmarking application which I ran was the GFX Bench Metal test. Now GFX Bench runs a number of different tests which vary from higher and lower levels of intensity, and in the interest of saving time, I've calculated the average for each of these results, but of course I will show you guys each individual result. Now the average that I got for the higher intensive tasks was around 29.89, and for the lower I got an average of 76.7. Next I performed a speed test on the internal SSD found in the Mac Mini and got a read speed of 2,195 megabytes per second with a write speed of 785. Next up we have Novabench. Now Novabench is a good general benchmarking tool. This is as it not only tests the CPU and the GPU, but it also tests other things such as storage and system memory. Now the score that I got in this test was 1,165. I then chose to perform a basic network speed test and got a download speed of 384 megabytes per second and an upload speed of 20.6 megabytes per second. Next I ran Cinebench. Now Cinebench is a good benchmarking program as it tests each individual thread and then gives a score, similarly to how Geekbench gives its scores based on the time taken to complete said tasks. The score that I got for the Mac Mini was 1,459. Next I did an export test using Final Cut Pro, exporting a 4K video file. That file was placed on both a 1080p and a 3840 timeline, with background rendering turned off. The time taken to export the full HD or 1080p file was 1 minute and 18 seconds. And the time taken to export the 4K video file or the 3840 video file was actually a little longer, as you'd expect, at around 5 minutes and 50 seconds. The last series of tests which I performed came from Unigine. The first of these was the Heaven benchmarking test, which is a heavy CPU and GPU test. Once the test has been performed, it will then give a general score on its performance and the average frame rate for when rendering out a particular scene. So the score that I got from Unigine Heaven was 327, but I got a FPS reading of 13 frames per second. And once again, from Unigine benchmarking tools, the last test that I performed from them was the Valley test, which performed very similarly to the previous one from Heaven. Now with this I got a score of 570 by an average frames per second or FPS readout of 13.6. Now, with all the talk about Macs and MacBooks and pretty much all computers coming from Apple thermal throttling, I thought, you know what, let's hit Prime 95 and see what happens with the new Mac Mini. But the interesting thing with the Mac Mini is, unlike pretty much every other Mac that Apple sell, so with that being said, this Mac Mini can only hit a maximum theoretical speed of 3.6 GHz. And if you take a look at the graph that's being provided by the Intel Power Gadget, you'll see that the Mac Mini will sometimes hit the maximum speed of 3.6 GHz, but other times it will actually dip down to around 2.2 GHz. Now take what you want from these tests, but at the end of the day, the Mac Mini is pretty decent for what you're getting. I just really wished that it actually had some sort of GPU. So then guys, that has been it for today's video. If you did enjoy the video, then be sure to leave it with a thumbs up rating. And if you are new around here, then why not subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload and release my next video. Also, if you guys have got any video suggestions or questions with what you've seen in today's video, then be sure to leave them down below in the comment section. Alternatively, you could also hit me up on my social media. Links to purchase anything that's featured in today's video can be found in the description section. But other than that guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.